Hello, my name is Ryan Gottfredson. I'm a leadership professor at Cal State Fullerton, and I'm also a leadership consultant that works with organizations all over the world to develop and elevate their leaders. And one of the things that I've learned from my experience, and of course you know this as well, but leaders vary in terms of their quality and sophistication. There's some leaders who are very high quality, very sophisticated. I call them Mind 3.0 leaders. They're very vertically developed. And then there's others that aren't. I call those Mind 1.0 leaders. Now, but what we find, most leaders operate at the Mind 2.0 level. In fact, 85% of them operate here at the second level, only 8% operate at that top level. So most of the work that I do is designed to take those Mind 2.0 leaders and help them to elevate into that Mind 3.0 level. And one of the questions that I commonly get is, who are some examples of some Mind 3.0 leaders? I want to share some with you, but then even further, what do they focus on? What do they emphasize? What do they prioritize? And there's a very clear and consistent theme. So let me introduce you to 4 leaders. Who we've got here is Satya Nadella at Microsoft, Alan Mulally at Ford, Reed Hastings at Netflix, and Herbert Hainer, former CEO at Adidas. Now, I want to walk you through, of course, what do they focus? What do they emphasize? Where do they start to elevate their organizations? You're going to see a theme. So let me walk you through some quotes from different books related to these leaders and what they chose to focus on, and then let's focus on that theme at the end. Let's start with Reed Hastings at Netflix. One of the things he says is, my primary platform for gardening, in terms of taking care of the business, is our quarterly business review meetings with the organization's leaders. And in No Rules, he says, the number one goal for these meetings is to make sure that all leaders across the company are highly aligned on what I call our North Star, the direction we are running in. At Ford, when Alan Mulally took over, he said an organization to render any service so widely useful must be large in scope as well as great in purpose. He came across a saying from Henry Ford in 1925 in an old advertisement where the advertisement said, opening the highways to all mankind. And that really resonated with him. The author of American Icons, a great book by the way, said this about this situation. He says, this was exactly what Mulally had been looking for. A pole star to guide his transformation of Ford, a touchstone that he could return to in times of doubt. So that's Alan Mulally. Let's jump over to Satya Nadella at Microsoft. He says, when Microsoft's board of directors announced I would become CEO, I put the company's culture at the top of our agenda. I said that we needed to rediscover the soul of Microsoft, our reason for being. I've come to understand that my primary job is to curate our culture so that 100,000 inspired minds, Microsoft employees, can better shape our future. The team I inherited was more like a group of individuals. Each leader in a group was, in essence, CEO of a self-sustaining business. Each lived and operated in a silo. To break out of this impasse, I met with everyone individually, taking their pulse, asking questions, and listening. Together, we needed to develop a North Star. So to develop Microsoft's purpose statement, he spent the first year listening to employees. He said listening was the most important thing I accomplished each day because it would build the foundation of my leadership for years to come. Satya Nadella. Now let me introduce you to Herbert Hainer, who's featured in this book, CEO Excellence, coming out of McKinsey. He said the goal wasn't to be the biggest and richest. It was to start creating products that help athletes perform better. So the runner can run faster, the tennis player and the soccer player can play better. If we did that and provided good service to our consumers, the financials would follow. All we had to do was help people achieve their personal best. I wanted to give the company the belief that this was more than just a revenue game, and we are more than just a revenue company. He ended up growing the brand from over $3 billion to over $30 billion. Do you sense a theme here across these 4 different elevated leaders? What do they focus on? What do they emphasize? What do they start? They prioritize a purpose statement. In fact, they develop a clear, inspirational, and stakeholder-centric purpose. Now, here's what I found across these different levels of leaders. Those who are in Mind 1.0, they prioritize comfort over outcomes and purpose. What I find about Mind 2.0 leaders is they prioritize outcomes over comfort and purpose. And Mind 3.0 leaders, they're focused on adding value to all stakeholders, and they prioritize purpose over comfort and outcomes. because they know that such a purpose is a foundational element for cultivating a culture of growth and thriving. So, if you're watching this, let me ask you this question. When you think about your organization, do you have a clear, inspirational, and stakeholder-centric purpose? And if not, what can you do to get there?